Hey guys, it's Dan in Post. Before we start the second half of the Batman Returns episode, I just wanted to remind you of my guest appearance on the Hysteria Continues podcast, where we discuss the 1989 incest slasher elf movie, Elves. Guys, it's the movie too weird to watch on this show. George and Travis would have quit, and then it would have been the saddest thing. So I watched it with those guys instead. They hadn't seen it either, so check that out on any local podcatcher. Welcome back to the Remedial Film Class podcast. I'm your host, Dan.
And I'm Travis.
And I'm George.
And this is part 2 of our Batman Returns episode. Let's join the previous conversation already in progress.
The original choice for the Penguin was, who do you think?
Colin Farrell.
No.
Just kidding.
He was 5. No. Marlon Brando.
He would have been good.
It was before they went with the mutated.
Before he was a Ninja Turtle?
Yeah. The two picks for the Penguin were
I like how they said he's
Cobblepot.
feeling 4 foot tall. That's fantastic. It's so corny.
Marlon Brando
Yeah.
and Dustin Hoffman. I would have really liked to see a Dustin Hoffman.
I'm not as
Penguin.
familiar with Dustin Hoffman. I know his name, but
He would have been a good Cobblepot as well.
yeah.
But once they went with the mutated monster hybrid, you don't go anywhere else but Danny Devito. Like I can't imagine anybody else playing that Penguin.
Yeah.
Well, it's just so strange that they did like the hat on a hat thing, where it's like, okay, we're going to have this guy who's an outsider, but he has like a blue blood connection, and he's like a nice story for the people of Gotham, and they're going to try to have a crime boss twist him into becoming a mayor, but he'll have ulterior motives. Like, that is this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but I forgot to mention, he's a deformed Ninja Turtles villain who lives in the sewer and wants to murder all the children with a circus gang.
Issues.
Like, they really just added and added and added to make this character so big, but so small. I can't believe that at the beginning of this movie, you've got Bruce uncovering a potential child murder ring in a circus connected to the Penguin. And then they cut to Penguin filling out a list of children's names like Santa Claus, creating his list. And this was a kid's movie. Like, holy crap, the 90s.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
That's how Generation X does it.
You got to know, though, in that scene where he introduces himself by saving the mayor's baby, he had to spend that entire duck ride just like, don't eat this baby. Don't eat this baby. This is an important baby. Don't eat this baby.
This is an important baby. Oh, shit.
That's funny. That scene was very poorly acted. And
I think it was supposed to.
It was so poorly acted that I thought, like the way that the circus guy like flipped into the scene or out of the scene, like with the baby, and like just like picked the baby up out of its mother's hands, and like she didn't do nothing, and nobody did nothing, and
he had time to make his Oscar speech.
Yeah, and then he like went down into the sewer, and like I'm like, what is the mayor in on this? Like, but he couldn't be, because the whole point of this is to. I don't know.
Well, and this is one of the examples. There's many examples in this movie. It's a little bit of sequelitis in a lot of ways, where like they know from focus groups what worked with the first one, and they're trying to get kind of echoed shots in this movie. And so this is very similar to that scene where Joker and his men show up in the mime outfits and attack the mob boss on the podium. You remember that on like the court steps in the 89 one?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the same elements here, almost the same shot, and then backflips in an Oscar speech just to put it over the top. But a lot of times in this movie, you'd see a shot and be like, hey, that's a good That was in the last movie. We're just doing this again.
Just to put the hat on the hat.
Yes. I mean, we've got a fried body that works so well with the Joker, so now we're going to have a fried Shrek at the end just to make sure you hit your fried body quota. Like,
I think that's more of a Tim Burton quota. I think he enjoys...
Maybe that one. But like, okay, so the one when the thing explodes at the end and Batman turns dramatically and is lit up by the explosion. It's like, oh, you mean the shot they got outside Axis Chemicals? It's on all those posters.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're just, they're just checking the boxes to make sure that when the merchandising comes through, we've got firelit Batman, we've got fried body, we've got Penguin shooting his sidekick for almost no reason, you know, just like shooting Bob in the first one. Like, got to hit those beats.
It is a different writer.
Sequelitis. Sequelitis.
But I think it has a lot to do because the burnt out Shrek looks a lot like the burn up cigarette guy in Beetlejuice. And I think there was actually it kind of looked a little bit like Large Marge. Like, I think it's a Tim Burton thing more than the studio saying, hey, you got to do these sequel boxes. But I know what you're saying. I just think he's got that Spielberg, Michael Bay, who's George Lucas. Like, they just have their style that you're going to get the dolly zoom. You're going to get the hat reach under a door that's closing. Like,
and
you just know.
You got a Wilhelm scream.
Yes.
In this movie. So, there you go. I heard it and I was like, Travis is going to mention that. I beat you to it.
You did. I did hear it, though. The best one is in Toy Story. When I heard it in Toy Story, I'm like, oh my God, it's there. It's in there, too.
It had to be. It had to be.
Which scream is the Wilhelm scream?
Hold on. I'll let me Google it.
He's not just going to do it?
But when did it happen in the movie?
It's too high.
It's when after, I think it's either right before or right after he blows up the guy with the bomb. Batman punches a clown and like flings him over a railing.
Yeah.
And he does
the big clown. The arm wrestler from Over the Top, which you haven't seen.
I thought you were going to tell me he was a professional wrestler.
He's a professional arm wrestler.
No, yeah. I meant like
you roll your eyes. Dude's like 700 pounds.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, dude. Yeah. I
and
thought
he's from
he really
St.
got
Louis.
punched.
What's up?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, actually, I only know about him because a girl I went to high school with, her dad was in that movie, and he was also a professional arm wrestler. So he wrestled against that guy. Shoot, I can't find it.
It's a good way to get a spiral fracture.
Arm wrestling is something I don't think I'd ever want to do at a high level.
Let me turn my...
I would definitely want to do it against like a teenage boy who thinks he's hot shit, but not at a professional level. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
Here it comes.
It's in every movie.
Yeah, they use it all the time. Star Wars uses it, Indiana Jones, Batman, Toy Story. It's all over.
You have to look for it in like every movie because I think it's on file at Skywalker, sound studio. So whenever they need somebody falling out of a plane, down an elevator shaft,
it's that exact.
It's that scream.
It's that exact
stock.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
So when in Toy Story, when Buzz tries to, he's like, or no, Woody's like, Buzz, he fell down here. And he goes to help the toy that fell behind the desk, and then Woody's gonna push him out the window. He's gonna push Buzz out the window.
Yeah.
When he falls out the window,
he does that
scream. It's good shit. It was in the trailer. We were like, yeah, there it is.
That's hilarious. I don't think we talked about the performances enough.
Well, we haven't even talked about Michelle Pfeiffer yet.
Well, I want to get to
Once.
her. But I also want to just talk about Christopher Walken for a minute. I
Yeah.
mean, it's very hard to watch Christopher Walken for me and not think of
Cowbell.
the cowbell skit.
When he's like, she tried
Or-
to threaten me. I'll
or-
push her out a higher window.
Dude,
It's so
Yeah.
good.
next time I'll just push her out a higher window.
Such a good line.
But he never becomes a different person. He's
He
always
was very subdued. in
he's
this
always
movie.
Christopher Walken. Yeah, but he still speaks the same way.
Right.
You know how some actors they do an American accent so well you don't even know they're British.
Right.
You know, Christopher Walken is not that way. He always sounds like Christopher Walken, and and even though, what's the other movie where he's talking about his grandfather's pocket watch?
Oh, Deer Hunter?
Deer Hunter.
No, that's
Wedding
not it.
Crashers.
He's like, you know, your grandfather kept his pocket watch in his ass through the whole, basically through the whole war or something. I think it's a Tarantino movie. Anyways, doesn't matter. It's just Christopher Walken is always Christopher Walken. He always sounds like Christopher
Pulp
Walken.
Fiction. Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction.
Is that Pulp Fiction?
Yeah.
Okay. He always sounds like Christopher Walken. He always delivers lines the way Christopher Walken would
Mhm.
deliver them. And even though it's Christopher Walken,
But
very
see,
clearly,
his inflection.
but his performance was amazing. And when is I'm saying I'm just thinking, like, is he just always cast really well, or is Christopher Walken just a perfect actor for any role?
He's
The way-
Did you see the live action Jungle Book?
Maybe.
He plays the voice of King Louie, so he's the giant orangutan.
I think I did actually.
He does not even have to be on screen. Like, it's his voice.
Yes.
So he's the best part of the Jungle Book. Just his, because you're not getting that jazzy voice. You're getting the walking.
Yeah.
As an orangutan, and he's like giving the way
Yeah.
he's talking, but his inflection is different than the stereotypical walking impression, like more cowbell.
Yeah.
And I think
I also think of there's an SNL skit where he's trying to like he's afraid of plants. You ever seen this one?
yeah,
And he's afraid of plants and he's trying to get over his fear, so he is in a greenhouse and he's planting plants to get over his fear, but in order to face his fear, he has to look him in the eye. So he has to put googly eyes on him. And just hearing Christopher Walken say I put googly eyes on him.
right.
It's
He's
just
classic.
fantastic. But
It's fantastic.
he always every time I say fantastic, he's a
I hear
fantastic.
Schwarzenegger.
Fantastic. Dude, Christopher Walken is a treasure.
But in this movie, he's subdued. Like, if you think about it,
He is.
he's doing some subtle shit in this movie, but he's so eccentric. Like, the character, his hair,
Yes.
like his costume, like everything is
to me,
so over the top.
I think that the eccentric Christopher Walken is probably the best Christopher Walken.
Yes.
Anyways, he was phenomenal in this movie. I loved every single second he was on screen.
Yes, he's perfect.
And before we talk about Michelle Pfeiffer, we need to talk about Michael Keaton, who really opens up the Bruce Wayne character quite a bit in this
A
performance.
lot of people love him as Batman.
Yeah, he's great. He's my Batman.
A lot of people say he's the best Batman.
I do. I still think that.
Right.
Dan's like me.
And
that's
and
me.
I'm like he's good.
He's great.
He's good. Who was the young fellow that played in The Batman?
Robert Pattinson.
Pattinson.
He was also very good.
Mhm.
He was also very good, and he was allowed to keep the eye black, whereas this one they make it a point to have no eye black under the mask,
Yeah.
which I understand the audience wasn't ready to acknowledge. You know, it's a sign of the times or whatever,
Yeah.
but it does kind of cheapen that scene when he rips his
scene would've
mask
been
off
so much better.
dramatically, and he's
Yeah.
clean, and you're just
That-
like, what?
He was clean before he tore it off, if you actually watch it.
Oh, does he have no eye black under the mask
f-
at that point?
Yeah, the
That's
frame right
hilarious.
before he tears it, you could see his eyelids and everything. So it's like they purposely did that, and it's like, no, that scene would have been so much better if he had the football.
The eye black on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
eye
it's
black,
not
yeah.
like they cleaned up Selena Kyle to look all, fresh and clean under her mask. That's kind of sexist. What the heck?
Because in the next one, they do touch on that, because I think there's a scene where Kilmer is in the Batcave right after an event as Batman, and they show him kind of come out of not come out of the shower, but like come from behind the wall where he obviously just took off the bat suit, and he looks disheveled, and he looks sweaty, and he looks dirty around the eye area. So it's like they at least addressed it a movie later.
Yeah.
Because I think people were like watching that ending, were like, what? Seriously?
Wait, what? Oh.
Was Batman taking his mask off really necessary in this
No.
movie?
Not a bit.
Not at all. I didn't
But
like
you get
it.
a great walking thing, because he's like, what are you doing dressed as Batman?
Yeah, that's
He's
a
that's
line.
true.
Wayne.
And it leads to an awesome action figure idea where you've got the full bat suit with the Bruce Wayne
Mhm.
head that they already sculpted for the regular Bruce Wayne figure. Boom. An extra figure with the same pieces
It's
they
an
already
extra
had.
figure.
I don't think they actually did that, though. And if I remember from the Batman Returns line, I never had a Batman with no mask.
I did, but it was a Bruce Wayne figure with a bat cowl that you can
Oh,
slip
yeah.
on,
The
and-
quick change Bruce Wayne.
The
Come
quick
on.
change Bruce
Come
Wayne,
on,
yeah.
man. But wouldn't it be cool
Yeah,
if they...
quick
Why didn't
change
they
Bruce
just take
Wayne.
the quick change Bruce Wayne head, put it on the regular Batman body, and have an extra figure for free that I would have bought for $5 more?
They didn't need that scene to do that, because the scene where he pulls the claw out of his side,
True.
he has his cowl off and his full bat gear on.
I'm
So
surprised they
could've done,
didn't
Batcave
sell me,
Batman.
because I bought every effing action figure in that line back
Yeah.
in this era. Why didn't they sell me a Batman figure with one Bruce Wayne arm? And be like, oh, this is that scene where he took his glove off. I'd be like, fuck, there's $5.
Why didn't they sell the locker with the 7 Batman costumes in it?
Dude, that was actually kind of corny. That was one of the
completely corny.
that was one of the times where I was like, oof, this.
It's when the studio gets involved and you have
Yeah.
like the seven boots or the 8 boots that
Yeah,
all look
yeah,
the same.
yeah.
And
It'd be funny if it was only
Hangers.
7 boots.
But you know what's the great part of it? The great part of that scene is when he opens the closet and there's like 6 bat suits, identical bat suits. He like shifts 3 of them to the side and picks like the 4th one out.
now the reference I got
Because
from
that one specifically he wanted to
that's
wear.
his Wednesday suit.
Yeah, exactly, right.
I got the Fly. I thought of the character in the Fly where he's got
Oh, he
7
yeah.
of the same shirts,
Mhm.
7 of the same pants.
Yeah.
So you just have to waste any time figuring out
So,
what he wants to wear.
It was just silly that he like pushes 3 of them to the side
Mhm.
and takes one out of the middle. Like that's
But that's what happens, and then you get the gradual downfall. Like in the third one, you get the the first line of the movie.
Let's not ruin it for him.
I have
Let
to.
let the movie ruin it for him himself when
Okay,
he watches
okay.
it later.
all
Ugh.
right.
Did I imagine it this time, or did his bat cape become a hang glider spontaneously and then fold back into a regular cape when he hit the
That's what
ground?
happened. But his cape did fall off when the hang glider came out.
What?
If you watch it again.
Because as a
When
kid,
there's-
the memory I had of this movie was he just happened to bring his hang glider with him, thank goodness.
Right.
But then watching it today, I was like, did he just Nolan that cape and I never caught that as a kid? Like, was I smarter as a kid than the movie makers to think you can't do that with a cape?
I always took it as it was
But
almost like
you can do that with a cape.
In the Nolan
If Lucius
Lucius
Fox
Fox, right.
is your
But if you
your
watch
gear
that scene
guy.
again, and I remember that scene in the trailer, watching that happen, and I was like, "Oh, that's awesome!" Like when he puts his arms out and the bat wings pop out.
And they're all
was
like,
like
sharp and scary looking. Like,
Yeah,
it's a
I'm
cool
like,
looking
okay.
cape.
But it's, I was looking at it as an homage to Bob Kane's original drawing that was based on the Da Vinci drawing.
Yeah, the red Batman.
That's what I was taking. So I was like, okay, I'll take it. It's like a Da Vinci hang glider invention nod, which is where Bob Kane got his idea for the bat cape.
How about
But that cape falls off, by the way.
how
that
about
scene.
the part where Batman is fighting a sword swallower and he pulls the sword out of the guy's throat,
Right.
and then just like punches him or something?
Or the 900,000 pound pedestal on the bottom of the car that helps it turn around.
Yeah, the
the
hydraulic
driver.
ram that's built into the Batmobile.
Where does Batman go when that thing goes back up in?
Oh my god.
How about like the Batarang that he has to like program?
Yeah.
Like he's like, oh, I'm surrounded by 3 people. Hold on, let me just like punch in coordinates here real quick. There's 4 people. They're standing around me, and throw it.
Now, what I was thinking about when I was watching it that I never thought about before, and I was thinking of you.
What's that?
Basically, Iron Man in the new movies has a lot of those moments, but it's remedied by new technology. So it's not as corny because he's actually seeing that screen inside his helmet and doing those coordinates with his conversation with the AI of his suit.
Yeah,
So
it's
like,
actually the supercomputer.
Jarvis.
Jarvis.
So it's like if that were what Keaton did, where he was basically programming it through AI, it would have looked really cool.
Well, he kind of
Well, he
But
like
instead he
held
has
it
to
up.
pull
It
it
looked
out.
like it radar programmed. Like he held it up and it detected where everybody was, and then he threw it.
yeah, but
didn't,
had
like-
he had to like program it though. He had to
Yeah.
like touch it and turn it on and
Well, it was
stuff.
the 90s.
Oh, you got to use
Yeah.
your
We
hands.
still had beepers.
What's that?
That's
A
true.
baby toy?
Is that a baby toy? But we still had beepers back then. 92.
Yeah.
We had beepers.
You
We have cell
you had
phones, yeah.
dial up at that
We
point.
had
so
56K
that-
modems.
I do
That was
love the
pretty much-
expression on the woman's face when the dog steals the Batarang, and she's just like, mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's
All your technology and my ratty dog.
yeah. Didn't need a word of dialogue to sell that to me. That was good.
Although Nolan does that Iron Man thing with the radar. Remember when the thing that Lucius Fox doesn't want to exist?
Oh, the bat? The
Patriot
flying
Act. The Patriot Act
Yes.
thing.
The
at the
Patriot
end.
Act.
Yeah.
It pings
so-
all the
sonar.
it pings all the cell phones
Sonar
and makes a
ping.
sonar image, and so that Batman through his helmet can see.
Right.
That's pretty much
Yeah.
that. It's pretty much that.
C.
George, you're an electrician. Would it make any sense to build a large-scale capacitor to steal the energy from the surplus created by the Gotham power plant to make
don't-
money?
Oh, we're going to the
N-
plot now?
No.
Dot profit? Like, how does this work?
So my understanding of capacitors, this is not coming from me as an electrician, because electricians don't use capacitors generally.
That'd be more of an electrical
Um,
engineer situation, right?
This is George the Tinkerer, because I've tinkered with things
Mm-hmm.
before that are electronic, and basically like a capacitor stores energy, and it kind of outputs energy when there's a lull. So I would imagine that like generally, like if you need so many volts, like say you need 450 volts, right? You put a 450 volt capacitor in the line, and the capacitor drinks up 450 volts, and it just
Slower.
sits there and stores it. And then when the power drops below 450, well, the capacitor is like, oh well, here's extra, and it makes it 450 all the time. You know what I mean?
So they're acting
It,
this
like-
whole time like Shrek's plan is going to be this big secret, like evil plot, but he also speaks of it as like the legacy of Chip and his family, like this great thing he's leaving behind. But that's nonsense, right? Because anybody building it would be like, that's weird. We're not putting in a power plant. We're just putting in a giant capacitor bay. But you could almost sell that.
is
Like Shrek, if I understand it correctly, Shrek could be selling this to the people of Gotham to be like, hey, do you want the world's best power cleaner and conditioner? Because we can build this thing next to your power plant, and then you'll never have to worry about bad service drops because we'll smooth everything out with our giant capacitor I want to build.
It would be more effective if there was a single large capacitor at the service drop of every building, and capacitors on the actual high tension and capacitors at the power plant.
See, now
like,
that's
you
the
would need-
Batman
you would need-
Returns I want. I want Max
you would need
Schreck.
proper.
I want Max Schreck to sell Gotham with fake studies, his giant capacitor to clean all the power, and I want him to fight Lucius Fox, who is presenting counter data, valid data, showing that it would be more efficient just to have him at every drop in every house. And then that would be the big conflict of Batman Returns, is my data versus your data in a science off.
But then you find out that Ra's al Ghul owns Big Capacitor,
Dun, dun,
and
dun.
he's just trying to sell capacitors to whoever.
There you go. And he wins no matter who wins. Oh,
And there's also a microwave emitter in each one.
this is already
secretly.
better than Batman Returns.
But where's the flipper action?
Yeah, that's
We
true.
still haven't talked about Catwoman.
Who's Catwoman?
What?
Michelle
Halle Berry?
Fucking
Pfeiffer.
Pfeiffer.
Oh, Michelle Pfeiffer. Yeah, she was in that movie where she was a teacher and Coolio was there.
Oh my god.
I remember her from that.
That's it?
No, I'm kidding, of course.
She was in Scarface.
Scar who?
Scarface?
I'm kidding.
I think it's a real disservice that I've never seen that movie.
You've
It
never
is.
seen Scarface?
No.
Interesting.
We
Is
have-
that the
we
one-
have failed.
Is that the one where he's like, say hello to my little friend?
yeah.
Yeah, that's all I know about Scarface.
Okay.
Because it's referenced
A
constantly.
million times.
I just
yeah.
saw it on Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
So Michelle Pfeiffer, in the classic Hollywood costume of glasses, so that she's not pretty at the beginning of the movie, followed by no glasses, now pretty. That's kind of gross. Hollywood, get that?
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. I'm going to stop you right there.
I don't think glasses
I don't think
are
that's what they
unsexy.
were doing. I think they were just making her plain Jane secretary, stereotypical librarian type. I don't think they were trying to make her ugly. She was beautiful no matter what.
Yeah,
You could put her in a burlap sack covered in maggots and she'd be hot.
Well, I don't know about all that.
Well, I mean, Argento might agree with you.
It's
That's true.
But you know what I
Um,
mean. They hide her beauty beneath a facade of plain, less beauty.
I think they were trying to give you the girl next door, plain Jane, hiding behind the glasses because she doesn't have a self-esteem. She doesn't have self-esteem. I married this person, so I know. And then when she became Catwoman, they had to have that finding of self-esteem because she becomes like, walking feminism.
Yeah.
So it's
I
like
don't know
she
that
had
she
to,
becomes walking feminism. She becomes
well, 90s version of walking
a
feminism.
walking
like
something.
she becomes in her mind. She feels that women are, because she's a secretary, and they do this stereotypically. So I'm not saying this as a misogynistic way. They purposely made her the whipping post of all the men in the movie. So when she becomes Catwoman, she's empowered.
Now she's the captain.
Right, she's in charge of all the men.
She's
basically.
literally
They
the
did that.
whipping person.
Yeah,
At that point, she goes from the whipping post to the whipper.
Not only is she the whipper, she literally has a whip.
Yes.
And she whips
And
things.
that scene where she knocks the 3 heads off with the whips,
Yeah.
she did that for real
Yeah.
in one take.
Wow.
That's badass.
That is awesome.
Jennifer Lawrence did it 3 years prior, but
In utero.
in utero, pre-Hunger Games.
I want to thank Jennifer Lawrence for paving the way for all women action
Right.
actors.
Wow.
All that aside, how did the cats resurrect the lady?
They
I
didn't.
don't know. I think that was symbolism. I
They
don't know
didn't.
if they actually
I don't.
really did.
Honestly, I'm not even ready to go there yet.
No, let's go
I
there.
still want to talk
Okay.
about the secretary,
So hot.
Michelle Pfeiffer. Like, I love that she walks in the door and says, "Honey, I'm home," and it's like, "Oh yeah, I'm not married."
Right.
Like, that's hilarious. She does it
Self-deprecating.
twice, exactly the same way. Like, this is the way she enters her apartment every single
And her
night.
mom's always calling her. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
she's in her mind, she's a loser. She's really not, but she
No, yeah, not
she
at all.
feels like a loser.
Yeah, and then her Yeah, the way everybody walks all over her and while she's the secretary. I love that she calls herself and leaves herself a voicemail that says you forgot the file that you need to bring home. I mean,
Yeah.
that is it's great. It's something that my wife would do.
Right.
Like, not the message wasn't like, if you forgot this, you're gonna have to go back. It's like, you're gonna have to go back to work because you forgot this.
Yeah, asshole.
That's the message she left herself, and it's funny, and it's relatable.
Yeah, I put Post-its on my phone all the time before I leave work. I'm like, oh wait, no, I need to grab this.
Yeah, and
I still forget.
and then the interaction with her and Walken when she's actually going through the files and this and that and blah blah blah. Like we said before, dialogue fantastic. He pushes her out a window, and I don't know. Does she suffer from like a severe head injury? Is that what turns her into Catwoman?
They purposely did the canopies to. It's almost like the Jason Voorhees thing. Like, you sit there and you're like, okay, how many times is Jason Voorhees going to get hit with a machete or an axe and he's not going to die?
Well, she has an excuse because she's a cat.
But is she? Like, did she die from that fall? Like, I think they purposely made her get caught by all those canopies to slow her down. She hits the ground. Yes, you see her breathe that last breath. But
did she die? No.
They did it in a way where she didn't really technically have to die from that fall because she, again, went through the canopies. It was like a parachute to her. Yeah, it was a far fall.
Yeah.
But she went through like 10 canopies.
Yes.
When the cats, there's an old wives' tale where cats will steal your breath. They steal your soul or breath or whatever. When, like, some people will feel like they can't breathe and they wake up and the cat's sitting on their chest. It's like an old
okay, I'll
wives'
take your
tale.
word for it.
But they did the opposite of that. Did she receive life from those cats? Probably not. Did they just maybe wake her up by chewing on her finger? I'm going to go with
Probably
that.
more likely.
Because even when she says, Penguin killed me, Batman killed me, they technically didn't. She fell through that glass, but she didn't get cut, and nothing fell on her. So technically, they can explain that she didn't die from that fall. She fell into the sand in the truck.
I mean, I'm not
she
taking
didn't really die.
I'm not taking that literally when she says this person killed me, that person killed me, but it is an interesting thing, because cats don't actually die 8 times before they really die.
Right.
They
But they
come
always land on their
they
feet.
come close,
Right.
a lot before they actually die, and that's where she was.
Yeah.
She comes so close to getting killed.
I think what we're saying is it's open to interpretation.
Yes,
Did those
absolutely.
cats really bring her back? I don't think so.
No, they didn't. No,
But the movie's fantastical enough to
but
where
also
it's possible.
what I'm saying is her Catwoman, because obviously she likes cats. Like,
Right.
she has stray cats that come in her kitchen
Well,
window
it's a
and
cat
she
lady.
feeds them and
She's
stuff.
a cat lady.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But is Catwoman like something that was brought on from a severe head injury?
I don't know.
Like, is this like split personality
I think it's
thing?
her
Like,
inner woman that has always wanted to be
okay.
out.
I think that too.
Yeah.
And that's what I want it
So
to be.
she's empowered now.
That's what I want it to be. And when she comes back as Catwoman, again, another perfect dialogue is when Bruce Wayne is in Shrek's office. They're talking about the power plant, and she comes in, and Shrek shits himself.
Mm-hmm.
That whole scene.
Yeah. And her demeanor's changed completely.
Yeah, exactly.
It's great.
She's no longer the secretary.
She's now in
Now
and her
she holds the
vision has
cards.
improved because she no longer needs
and
glasses.
her vision has improved because, as we know, cats don't wear glasses.
Right.
So, but that yeah.
But she's no longer mousy. She's no longer
No.
low self-esteem, so she
No.
doesn't need the glass.
Yes.
She wears contacts now.
It's so good.
Again, I married her.
For a movie that has basically like Robot Chicken style penguins with brain helmet.
You might not get Robot Chicken
Things.
without Batman Returns.
You're
by the way.
probably right. That transformation and this dialogue is so good. Like,
then the
this movie doesn't deserve that the level of dialogue
No.
that it has. It's
And
so
the
good.
hello there. Hell Here.
Yes.
Like, it's just, and that transformation, her building her own costume. It's funny. Like, everybody talked about how amazing the Wonder Woman movie was and how groundbreaking it was and this and that. And then they did a sequel where who's the girl from Saturday Night Live?
Kristen Wiig.
Kristen Wiig played the villain in the sequel. And instead of playing off of the awesomeness that the first one was, they went back to the 90s. And because it was based in like 84 or whatever, and they made Kristen Wiig's character the same character that Pfeiffer's character is, but not good. Like, you can see how good Michelle Pfeiffer is by watching Kristen Wiig play the same character. And it bothers now they're not even making a third Wonder Woman because that movie was so bad. But it was almost like a laughing stock because they made the mistake of going back to the 90s with their superhero stuff. And in the 90s, it actually was cutting edge.
You know what annoys me a little bit? When people, like, they take movies like, I never saw Wonder Woman or the second Wonder Woman. But, you know, they make a bad movie and like, it flops. And they're like, oh, it's because, like, nobody likes women in movies. It's like, that annoys me so much because I love women in movies.
Absolutely.
Like, especially, like, I don't know. It's stupid. Like, Michelle Pfeiffer in this movie is a huge part of why this movie is fucking great.
She should have been in Gremlins.
Yeah.
She should have been in Catwoman.
Oh, my God, yeah.
And she should have been in Batman Beyond or whatever that new movie they supposedly canceled with her and Keaton getting back together. Oh,
I'm hoping they canceled it because the script was terrible and they're going to make a new one.
I hope you're right.
Yeah, I really hope. So, George, the original Catwoman for this movie.
Phoebe Cates. No, just playing.
Oh, God.
I don't think she would be a good Catwoman,
No,
but
she wouldn't.
I don't know.
Was going to be your girl from
girl?
American Beauty. Annette Bening.
Which one is she?
The wife.
Oh, that would have been terrible.
I don't know. Annette Bening in 92 was
the wife
hot. Yeah.
In American Beauty? Well, I mean,
you're looking at her at like 50.
Well, yeah, the wife in American Beauty is not.
She's not supposed to be.
Yeah, she's. Well, I'm just saying she's not that she's not attractive. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that she's so unlikable.
Right.
In American Beauty that I can't imagine her being like. But I mean, I'm sure she could. I mean,
And Dan, did you know that Julie Newmar actually petitioned for the part?
I'm sure. I mean, Adam West tried to get the part in Batman 89. So
really?
That wouldn't surprise me at all that they all thought, hey, this is our role to, I'm not really a Julie Newmar fan. I am a Lee Merriweather guy, if I got to pick. Although Eartha Kitt, my gosh, if I could have Eartha Kitt in the same movie as Lee Merriweather, that's enough Catwoman for my whole life.
Well, if you like Eartha Kitt, then you will like Boomerang if we ever watch that Eddie Murphy movie.
There you go.
Because she plays an older Catwoman type character in that movie.
Yeah.
And we have to talk about the Sean Young story.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, fill George in on the Sean.
I know Dan doesn't like to do trivia.
What did I see her in this week that I was like, who is that? She looks so familiar and she's so good. And then I was like, oh, God, that's Sean Young before she was crazy.
Was it Blade Runner?
No. God, what did I see her? I was watching something last week. I was like, man.
Trenchcoats in that movie, right?
Ace Ventura. No Way Out?
I'm looking here. It had to be 80s. You can tell him the story. I'll find it by the time
Ace Ventura.
No.
Okay, so Sean Young, you know her from Blade Runner.
Stripes. It was Stripes.
Stripes. Oh, you watched Stripes?
I watched Stripes the other day, and I was like, yeah, this movie is a movie.
Yeah, we're doing it. I hope one day.
Yeah.
Okay, so she really wanted to play Catwoman.
Wait, who is she again?
You know her from Blade Runner. She was the robot or the artificial person.
Oh, yes. I can see that.
She didn't know she was artificial.
Yeah,
right?
I can see her doing it, yeah.
So she was originally cast in the first movie as Vicky Vale.
Okay.
and she got hurt or something during filming.
Fell off a horse, I think, is the story I heard.
Okay, so fell off a horse. They bring in Basinger. Rest is history. So she really wanted to play Catwoman.
Mm-hmm.
She dresses up as Catwoman and goes to Warner Brothers Studios or whatever, and tries to go like from office to office, reading sides as Catwoman, trying to get the part. Like total insanity.
Okay.
To the point where like Burton is hiding under his desk.
That's kind of sad.
It's
But also the dedication. Sometimes
it works.
That dedication is what gets you
Yes.
what your whatever your goal is.
So when I heard that story, I was sad about it because I knew her from Ace Ventura, and I knew her from a couple other movies where I'm like, I had no idea she was
From what I've
strung out.
From what I've seen of her, she probably would be good, but I don't know.
She would have been good, but it would have been totally different.
Yeah,
I think
Michelle Pfeiffer is.
she actually went on the Arsenio Hall show and auditioned for the Catwoman as well on his show.
Wow.
Or it might have been Johnny Carson. I think it was Arsenio.
Do you think
Pretty
that line
embarrassing.
in the Batman 89 script, Alfred is telling Vicky Vale about his first and only writing lesson for Bruce?
There was young Master Bruce, leading his grey pony with me on its back, like a sack of old potatoes covered in mud and nursing a sprained ankle. That was the first and last time I gave him a riding lesson.
Do you think that scene was in the script originally? Or do you think they added that as a jab at Sean Young?
I don't know.
Because it says here in this article that I'm reading while you're talking, that she was injured on a horse while practicing for a scene that got cut from the movie. So if at some point they did have equestrian or horse-based writing or something in the Batman script, but they cut it because they didn't want to hurt two actresses in a row, so they're just like, screw it. Kim Basinger doesn't know how to ride a horse, so we're not even going to bother. But let's throw this line in to just jab at Sean Young. Guys, I think we got a scandal here. I got to call Sam Hamm. See what's up.
Can we? Is he still
I
around?
don't
I don't know if it's a jab. It could also be viewed as a call out, like a shout out.
Covered
Yeah,
in
like,
mud
hey,
and nursing
I
a
see you.
sprained ankle.
Like she's not here because we threw her off a horse.
Yeah,
But
I mean, okay.
we are going to put something in there so that
Like a little nod.
an ode to her for her effort, even though she's not in this movie.
And she went insane and stalked people. Cuckoo.
Hey, listen. What are you gonna do?
Hey, when you want a job, you need it. You need it. You're going to do whatever you can to get it.
Yeah.
But she was Ray Finkel, so. No, she wasn't.
According to this script I found that I haven't verified the authenticity of, there's no line, in the first draft at least, of that line that's in the final movie about the writing lesson. So, there it is, folks. I cracked the code. I just learned something about a movie we're not talking about, and I am happy. Hi, this is Dan in Post. What you just heard was a live on-air revelation. I've been watching Batman 89 since 1989, multiple times a year. It's probably my most watched movie. And I never realized that the discussion of the writing accident was nowhere near the original script and was just added after the Sean Young incident. It was just us talking about Sean Young falling off a horse that I realized, wait a minute, nobody rides a horse in the old Batman movie. Gears get to spinning. We do have a writing lesson. Gears keep spinning. Let me check the script. Like, you heard it all live. I don't need to tell you what happened, but guys, how fucking cool is that? I've been talking about that movie since 1989, and it just hit me today that, yeah, that probably was different in the original script, confirmed online after we recorded a whole segment of flirtation near an equestrian event, and no discussion of a writing lesson with Alfred until the later scripts. So anyway, my mind is blown, and I'm also breaking my arm, patting myself on the back for coming up with that without reading it on some online trivia thing. So I'm glad you were all here for me to do that. I hope you all have a wonderful break, and there's a lot more episode to get to, so let's get back to the show. I'm going to watch that again. That's my jam.
What's that? The first one?
89. Batman 89, still my jam. Although he doesn't use the Bat CDR to record dialogue from the Penguin and then record scratch in the middle of the press conference like he does in this one.
Such a Kevin McAllister thing to do.
It is straight out of a Home Alone movie. And
Yeah.
I think we all know now how unrealistic it is for a fervent political crowd to hear audio tape
Here we
of
go.
something awful said by a candidate, and then immediately that candidate is no longer a viable candidate.
That's democracy.
That's
That's
Yeah.
democracy. Yeah.
We do need to
Speaking
bring
of,
more produce to rallies, though. Having a handy,
that's another thing that I thought. I'm like,
Tomato.
who brings so many tomatoes to a political rally?
it's what you get for
That's
holding
his line, isn't it?
He
That's
says
the line
something
he
like
says.
that, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, why
Yeah.
do you hold your
I
political
thought it-
rallies at the farmer's market, Penguin?
Right.
Come on.
Yeah, right?
I thought it before he said it though.
Mm.
He was
It was
the number
another one
one
of those-
son, but they treated him like number
Like
two.
number 2.
Ugh, I hate that
number
line.
2.
It's
Dude,
such like
it's
an
so
earnest
corny.
speech too, and so to throw that joke in is such a tonal, just aberration. Oh my god!
It's just,
But
at
I
this
think
point
it's just
in
purpose
time,
silliness.
yeah, at this point in time, Batman movies have to be
Yeah,
silly.
you still gotta have a little silly. I don't understand why they say better fish to fry instead of bigger fish to fry at one point.
Mm.
Don't know if that was like a copyrighted phrase they were worried about, like infringing a trademark.
Oh, and the worst line in the movie when he says when they have the villain meet in the bedroom,
Oh god!
and he's like, "Just the pussy I've been looking for." I was like, "Oh my god, my kids are in the room."
Yeah.
They don't know that a cat is a pussy. Like they just hear that word. I was like,
oh man!
Really?
Wow. Kids today don't know that the word pussy
I know,
means
but
cat.
I'm thinking of myself when I grew up. The word pussy meant cat,
Yeah, it's
It
still
always
and I
meant-
didn't, and I didn't learn that it meant something else until later.
It was so blatant. He's like, "Just the pussy I've been looking for." It was like something out of
Hey.
the Stern movie.
Listen, I liked it.
No, it's yeah.
All of this is
I-
forgiven though, because there's the line that I have used at least 10 times on this show when we're referencing stuff we're going to show George later. You know, the "oh, but you will."
Oh, but you will.
Oh,
Yeah.
will.
but you will.
But
That
you
comes
will.
from this
Look at it.
movie, so okay, damn it. I guess I like this movie. Do you think that Kevin Smith was referencing this movie that time he made Batman pee his pants?
I don't know.
Because there's that line where Penguin's complaining about how they didn't kill Batman in his car and he didn't even lose bladder control.
Right.
I'm going to at Kevin
That's
Smith
true.
and find out.
What supervillain has them make a miniature Batmobile like screen accurate just for a plot?
That wasn't
Like, I remember
screen
seeing it.
accurate. That was literally the one from like a 7-Eleven parking lot that they...
I know, but they souped it up a bit.
That was so silly. Just painfully silly.
But it was a great homage to the original show. A lot of this movie. And what's funny is when Burton lost the rights to make the third movie, they did that because they wanted something more campy. They wanted something more 66. And Penguin biting people's noses off and making pussy jokes is not 66 enough for them.
No.
A little too much 69 for them.
Hey now.
Hey now.
Nice.
But yeah. He definitely went out with a bang. And what sucks is he was supposed to make the third one, and it would have been, I think, the Riddler and the Scarecrow. And I was not given a Tim Burton Scarecrow character, which I really wanted.
That is a shame.
And I know Robin Williams was in consideration for the Riddler, which would have been pretty awesome. 1995, Robin Williams was on top of his game.
Yeah.
He would have been off the chain.
That seems like it would have been a great movie.
That would have been like Aladdin level
Mm-hmm.
Robin Williams. And that was stolen from us because of McDonald's and Happy Meals.
Yeah.
Woof.
It's so
Oh.
interesting. There's a certain amount of the conversation we need to save until after you've seen Batman Forever someday. Ugh. But
it's not that bad.
it's fucking terrible. And
No, it's terrible for you.
the thing is, like, did we need to go backwards to get Nolan, or were we dark enough with Batman Returns that another slightly darker or the same darkness Batman 3 from Tim Burton, could we have still gotten to Nolan in 2001 or 2003, depending on what beginning or end of the production cycle? Did we really have to go through the trauma of Forever and Robin to get there?
Definitely.
I don't know that we did. So much
I
of
don't
it is in
think
these
we would have
movies
gotten
already.
Nolan.
I just don't know. I mean, because if you go this dark 2 movies in a row, and then the third one doesn't make as much money, and you don't get your McDonald's bucks, and superhero movies go the way that they go anyway, do you need to insult my character with those 2 movies to get to a good Batman, or would the film cycle naturally have brought us there without having to traumatize me?
I think without the debacle that was Batman and Robin, and the almost train wreck that was Batman Forever, you would not have gotten Nolan's Batman. The Batman we would have gotten would have been Spawn with Batman.
That wouldn't be bad.
It wouldn't be bad, but
It's kind of
it
what
wouldn't
the
be,
Batman ended up.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be taken seriously. It would have been exactly like Spawn, like the way the clown is in that movie. It would have been still campy.
$15 worth of CGI effects.
Shit ton of CGI. Yeah. I don't think we get Nolan's. The only reason we get Nolan's Batman is because of Bryan Singer and X-Men and Spider-Man, Sam Raimi.
George, did you like Batman Returns?
I did.
Would you watch it again
Absolutely.
as quickly as you'd watch Batman 89, or where does it stand in relation to that one? Because I know you're going to say Nolan
It's-
overall. I understand.
It's been a minute since I watched 89,
Ooh, you know what you could do tonight?
but I honestly
Post-show
I was-
Batman.
Faux show.
I was thinking about watching it before. I didn't have enough time to watch 89 and then this one, but
They're all on HBO Max.
I
You can actually
wanted
watch
to.
them all 3 at the same time.
I
if you
wanted
want.
to. And I even tried to listen to our episode of 89 at work today, but my AirPods ran out of batteries, so
It was too cold out. 'Cause
So
you were
I have
born in it.
it's been the last Batman 89 I have experienced was when we recorded the episode. I don't even know how long ago.
Oh, God, that was 2 years
Season
ago.
one.
Yeah, it was season 1. So I mean, I remember it being good. I think these movies are pretty equal. I mean,
think this is way more fun
if
than
I
the
let
first one.
recency bias take effect, I'm going to say this one's better, but if I don't, then I say they're probably on the same level.
I can't compare the 2.
But maybe it's not recency bias. Maybe I do like this one better. I'm not sure.
I think Batman 89 is a better movie. But I think this one is more fun and like an easier watch for me.
Yeah.
This one has a lot more My Cousin Vinny to it than Batman 89. 89 has like, I'm going to watch this scene, and this scene, and then I'm going to take the DVD out.
I just feel like the actors' performances in this movie are so good.
Yeah. There's
That-
more scenes to watch in this movie,
Yeah.
but I think the first one is a better film, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Although this one visually is amazing.
Yeah, that
Like,
too.
It's we kind of talked about it with Halloween. Like every shot in Halloween is like a poster. Same with this movie. Like it's just it's frames. It's comic book frames. Like they're even when Penguin's at the podium talking with the posters behind him. Any scene with Max Schreck, all the scenes with the circus group. Like it's just visually a great piece of art. And I think that's why I probably would watch it more than the first one. Although I love believe me, I love the first one.
Sure.
But this one's just a more it eats up more visually for me. Like I can see myself. I rate a movie on if the next scene happens and I'm like, I'll stop what I'm doing and I'll watch the next scene. And then, oh no, this one's a good scene too.
Well, yeah, the best kind of movies are
Yeah.
where you just
You wind up watching the whole
you
movie.
watch the scene and you're like, oh well, this the next scene is this.
Like
I gotta
Willy
stay for
Wonka
this.
is another movie for me
Yeah.
where I'll watch the beginning and it's kind of boring in the beginning, but any scene with Gene Wilder brings you to the next scene with Gene
to
Wilder.
the next scene.
by the
to
time-
the next scene. Yeah.
Before you know it, you're watching the credits. You're like, shit, I just watched this whole movie again.
Yeah.
To me, that's what Batman Returns is, as opposed to the first one.
Fair.
I know Dan disagrees.
Yeah, 100%. Batman 89 is way better than Batman Returns, but I'm glad you guys had fun. Any
I
Batman
didn't say
movie
it's a
that you
better
enjoy
movie.
is good. Yeah, I find it to be a lot of work to get through this one. I like all the character stuff between Bruce and Selina, but there's just so much that I don't care for actively. Like I have and I always have, even when I was a kid, I have like a very negative physical reaction when she's destroying her apartment. Like I find it unpleasant to watch that scene. I don't know why. It's just so like sad, and I don't need to be sad in a Batman movie.
Transformation.
So there's scenes I like, but
Wait a minute.
the best
Whoa,
fight.
whoa.
What?
Slow down. You don't want to be sad in a Batman movie?
Yeah. No, I came to watch a
There's
Batman
nothing
movie.
sadder than the character of Batman.
But it's just
Yeah.
Like,
it's-
Every character in this damn universe is a broken soul.
I
Like,
don't know. It's just something
everyone
about
is broken.
I have like a reaction to this, like the amount of like acute sadness and rage that she's going through. She's destroying that apartment, having this like transitional moment, and I know it's important to the plot, but I find it unpleasant to watch.
Well, that's
She's
that's done right.
She's spray painting everything.
Yeah, I
black.
hate
It's
that.
done right.
For something,
I
just-
love the scene where
I've
she's
never
spray
liked that
painting the
scene.
dollhouse.
Yeah, it's so
I'm
good.
like,
It's so
That's
miserable.
so
It's a
brilliant.
perfect George scene. Like I was watching that thing, and
Yeah.
George is gonna love
so
this movie.
emo.
So, yeah.
But
so
I
good.
find it unpleasant. And so when she's having good character interactions, she's great. The movie's good. The fight scenes are fine, except they're so murdery. They don't really fit as a Batman movie.
That's
Everything
true.
with the Penguin is gross. All that like crap coming out of his mouth the whole time. Not just
Yeah,
the
it's
words, but
great.
the literal like ooze. It's just gross. And so I don't know. I'm
See,
glad you guys liked it. It's important that we watched it, but man, 89 is so much more watchable.
I grew up watching Taxi. So that version of the Penguin doesn't bother me that much because Danny DeVito is that Penguin. Like he maybe not in real life, but he played that character on Taxi without the makeup.
Yeah.
Like there was nothing. I can't remember. It was for Louis De Palma was his character on Taxi. He was basically the Larry David character
Yeah.
on Curb.
Yeah.
But I guess less aware or more aware of what he was saying.
Okay.
Very vulgar, very
Yeah.
exact, very demeaning. And when I watch him as a Penguin, yeah, it's gross to see him bite his nose and the innuendo is a little uncomfortable.
And to watch him eat a raw fish.
Eat a raw fish. Although that scene is funny because it's kind of like when I would turn 21, they threw a surprise party for me, and I came home from work, and Jen brought me into the room, into the house, my house, and I farted. I farted so fucking loud. And Jen's like, "Oh my God." And we were laughing about it, and I didn't realize there were like 15 of my friends in the back room. And they heard me come in, and I was like, "Brah," like really loud. And it's like,
It's fantastic.
that scene reminded me
It's
of that
fantastic.
because it's like he had no idea. Like, there's nothing worse than a surprise party when you're not expecting it.
I thought you were gonna say Ron gave you a raw fish.
No, but like his that uncomfortableness, like Dan's talking about that scene where she destroys her apartment. They effectively did what they were supposed to do. Like they wanted you to be uncomfortable with the Penguin. That was their choice, and yeah, it's unnerving sometimes to watch, but it doesn't bother me. I was 92, so I was 16 when that came out.
I think one of the reasons why I love this movie is because Tim Burton is so dark. And Tim Burton
Yes.
is kind of like what every emo kid bases
Absolutely.
their, outlook and style on.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, it's great.
And I think one of the writers or producers worked on the movie called Heathers, which we will probably watch at some point. But it's just the darkness when you add that kind of humor from Heathers to Tim Burton, who does that kind of like when you watch Edward Scissorhands, it has a lot of darkness to it. Beetlejuice the same way, like that's him. So because it's in a Batman movie, it's unnerving for Dan because it's like, but to me, I'm like, okay, this is Burton's interpretation of that character.
Hey,
so
guys.
it doesn't bother me so much.
You know my side chick movie group?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Dan Bogan. I think it was Dan. He's the one who likes Verhoeven
Mhm.
movies. And
All 5 of them?
And he does like Showgirls, by the way, I asked him. And he chose the movie Beetlejuice
Oh, nice.
for the group to watch. And I didn't watch it because
Oh.
I knew that you guys would probably
Are we doing that next?
want to do an episode about it. So I'm kind of itching to watch Beetlejuice. Just keep that in mind when you're choosing movies, that's all.
Okay. I don't know what we're doing next. I never asked.
Yeah, what are we doing next? We've been recording for like an hour and a half.
It's so
Hour and
good, though.
41 minutes.
I have one more question before we move on.
Sure.
The penguin at the end,
Mm-hmm.
when he grabs the wrong umbrella. I picked the cute one.
Mm-hmm.
His head is...
Is that supposed to hypnotize me or something? No.
Let's give you a splitting headache.
No, but it'll give you a splitting headache.
So good.
Chill out, they're blanks.
A lot
You
of
s-
tape and patience.
You said you were going to scare her. She looks scared to me.
Gotta fly.
The wrong umbrella.
His head is bleeding blood, like red blood.
Bleeding blood.
Red,
the fuck
red,
outta
get
here.
the fuck outta here. Red blood.
Yeah.
But his mouth is bleeding green, black blood. Confused.
His mouth isn't bleeding. His mouth is oozing.
What?
Whatever.
Toxic oh, maybe it's the toxic waste from the water?
In the
that he said in the
VHS
beginning?
days, it was understood that colloquially that he basically, because he had sharp teeth, he was always bleeding from the mouth, and that a lot of the black goo coming out of his mouth all throughout the movie is little bits of blood from him having cut his own tongue or lips. But it's never explained, and it's fucking gross.
Yeah.
I have a bigger problem though than that. There's a shot of the
Didn't
fireplace.
photograph well.
I sent you guys. I sent George
3M.
a shot of the fireplace with the, cutting edge big screen TV that we can all remember the days when the rear projection was the
Yes.
top dollar. Well, like a 48-inch screen or something. Holy shit! Like
My dad tore down 2 walls in our house to get one of those in our TV room
so.
to watch a Penn State game.
I sent the picture to you. I think what they're doing here is a failed like forced perspective shot, like similar to what they do in Elf to make Buddy look like he's 10 times as tall as the little
Mhm.
elves in the classroom. Do you remember that shot?
Yes.
So-
And his mentor.
But the issue is the way the shot is composed. If we use Bruce for scale in this kind of oversized chair, but then you go over and look at the fireplace in the size of because I can imagine, yes, this is a giant fireplace because he's Bruce Wayne. And yes, he has a big TV, but look, his big TV is dwarfed by the giant fireplace. That's all well and good, except look how big the tools are
I don't have it.
for manipulate. It's in George has it in his messenger. I'll forward it to you.
Okay.
But take a look at how big the implements are to actually
They're about as tall as the TV.
So you've got like a 5 foot manipulator, like a shovel, and then what the poker. The poker's got to be 5 foot tall.
The stoker.
I mean, I'm sure it looked really cool in the theater at the time when you couldn't pause it and look at it.
I think you might be looking too far into it. And here's why. If you have a big fireplace, that means you have a big fire, which means if you have a big fire, you have a hotter fire. And in order to use tools on it, you
Longer
have to be
poles.
farther away. So they might just be large tools.
Maybe. I mean, these are like the same size construction tools you'd use to repave a highway.
You know what I like about this picture that you sent? There's a gargoyle
Yes, on his
the
own
fireplace.
fireplace. Yeah.
on the very top of the fireplace,
There it is.
and it looks very much like
The Fly.
a penguin.
Well, he's making the same face the penguin makes every time
looks
Catwoman walks into the room.
Exactly.
It looks like Brundlefly.
And actually, they're making out in front of this fireplace at one point. So he's making that face at them making out. That's kind of hot.
Yeah.
That's like a White Lotus season 2 situation. But if you guys haven't watched it yet, I won't spoil it. Shout out to our listeners who watched White Lotus season 2. Batman Returns. So what are we watching next week, Travis?
Well, Johnny, next week we're watching a movie that George has no idea about. No.
As usual.
As usual. Now, we are going to go down the Burton road of an adventure.
Ooh,
But it's small,
a large
but
adventure.
big. A large, big adventure. But Pee-wee's big adventure.
And not the solo adventure he had that got him in so much trouble.
To be talked about later.
I'm gonna do some research on that. So I think I have an idea of what happened.
Wait, are we going to have an over and under on how many times I do a Pee-wee laugh?
Oh, God.
in the
I
next
hadn't even
episode?
thought
Sure.
about that.
We'll get with Vegas. We'll come up with a line.
Yeah, I won't do it. I won't.
So next week, we'll close out
Pee-wee's.
2022 with Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Oh gosh, could I? I don't think I could think of a more appropriate movie.
I have not seen this movie in like 25 years, so I'm
Great.
excited.
I think I
Fantastic.
have it on DVD, and that is probably the most recent I've bought it. So
And
I better find that DVD. It's also on HBO Max. And thank you for joining us on the Remedial Film Class podcast. As always, you can find us at facebook.com/remedialfilmpod. We'll be back next week with Pee-wee's Big Adventure, now on HBO Max. Also check out The Hysteria Continues and Elves.
It's right next to your True Lies DVD.
I have a True Lies Blu-ray, Travis,
Nice.
from Spain.
You don't have to rub it in. From
Wow.
Spain.
It's obviously a DVD upconvert. It does not look like a Blu-ray.
right.
But I have it,
Fantastic.
and it was on Amazon, and it was expensive. So I'm going to rub it in your face.
I have it. I have 3 VHSs of it,
If you
and they were not expensive.
hit
yeah,
them
well, I have a laser disc.
hit them against each other, do they turn into a DVD? If you, hey, they said an Abyss 2023 remaster is expected, so maybe True Lies will follow.
I hope so. The Abyss is a good movie as well.
I've heard good things. I've never seen it, so maybe later,
Really?
maybe down the road.
Get the fuck out of here!
I've seen that
Really?
one scene in the effects shot that's so cool, but I've never seen the movie.
Right. No, it's a really good effects aside. It's a good character film, and it's got your Ed Harris in it and Michael Biehn.
No blue monkey avatar people
No, not at all.
or panthers. What are they? What animal are they based on? I haven't seen I saw the one Avatar in theaters and I hated it, so haven't been back in
Yeah,
that world. Maybe
There's
they're like
more than
big
one
cats.
Avatar.
There's a new one coming out.
And one every 2 years for the next like 8 years or something. They have a
Fuck
ton.
that.
Ugh.
There's no one who loves Jim Cameron more than me. I will not watch Avatar.
Nah, fuck that.
Titanic was the last Cameron movie I watched.
Ping. That's me falling off the boat and hitting the
The propeller.
Oh,
propeller.
that was
That's
so
the
good.
only part of that movie I liked besides the boobs.
Wasn't that great?
I
Ping.
enjoyed that movie. I did. I can honestly say that it was not a bad movie.
Yeah, it was fine. It was fine.